Welcome in, everybody, to The Meltdown. I am John Lunsford, joined by my wife, Laurel Lunsford, and, of course, the one and only Tyler Johns. Tim Melton has not seen Trap yet. He will see it this coming weekend, but we all went to go see it on opening night, the latest from M Night Shyamala, starring Josh Hartnett and a host of other characters that, outside of his own daughter, I don't know that I can name hardly anybody else in the movie except Allison Pill, who also is in it as well. But
Kid Cudi.
Oh yeah, Kid Cudi is also randomly
and
in it as
Haley
well.
Mills, original Parent Trap,
and sure,
and Pollyanna.
Haley Mills. Anyway, Trap, the latest from M Night Shyamalan. His last movie was Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin, I thought was okay. Kind of sort of a return to form, more with old than Knock at the Cabin, but then Trap, a movie where he kind of gives a twist away going into it. This will be a spoiler review, so we will talk about other things that potentially happen in this. So if you don't want to be spoiled, turn away. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to spoil things now. Going into this movie, I don't know about y'all, but I very much thought there was going to be way more twists and turns because he gave the main twist away in the trailers. Yep. I don't know if y'all felt the same way or not.
I don't know why he gave the main twist away in the trailer.
I thought he did it because, hey, here's the twist, but it's M. Night Shyamalan. There's going to be a million other crazy twists.
But I think that's an outdated stereotype now. I don't think he really does that anymore.
His problem,
I feel like it was like a meta take on a Shyamalan movie.
Oh,
it's
that
like,
could be
yeah,
it.
you thought there was going to be a twist. The real twist is we played it straight the entire time, and I told you the twist.
I can see that.
I see that because we talked about his overall filmography in the Laurel's list that you can go check on our channel. He does The Sixth Sense, which has one of the greatest twists of all time in it. Then Unbreakable and Signs, and then The Village, like all of them very much having twists to them. And then he gets into kind of some bad movies with Lady in the Water, Last Airbender, The Happening, all that. But then After Earth. The Visit.
Don't count that one.
The Visit very much has a twist in it. And then, Old very much has a twist in it. But I feel like his last couple of movies haven't really had twists. For me, Knock at the Cabin was the apocalypse is going to happen. Oh my gosh. Oh, what's the twist going to be? Oh no, the apocalypse actually happened. Okay. And then that's kind of it.
But they stopped it, didn't they?
I mean, they did stop it. There wasn't really this actually is going to happen. What they tell you in the trailer is essentially what happens. With Trap, what they tell you in the trailer is essentially what happens. And my biggest complaint from this movie, I thought it was well done. I thought Josh Hartnett was good. But I don't know about y'all. My biggest complaint is only like half the movie is actually at the concert.
That is my complaint as well. First half of the movie was everything I wanted this movie to be, and then some. And then once the concert section is over, it just starts getting pretty messy.
I think it's kind of like Long Legs. Like, I loved the first part of Long Legs. Like, I that would have been a top 5 movie for me. But then, like, it starts veering into, like, weird territory with the stuff with Nicolas Cage and, like, the doll making and the Satan stuff. And this is kind of similar in the fact that I love the concert stuff. I thought it was so intriguing, scary. I thought Josh Hartnett was really good. And I was still interested. Like, I was still very much into the movie, but I would have liked more at the concert.
Yeah, leaving. So once they decide to leave, and you can kind of tell, I'm going to use M. Night Shyamalan's daughter to leave. Lady Raven, that was her name, right? I'm going to use her to leave. That's when I started thinking, okay, now we're going to get into something crazy because they never really showed a lot of this. I'm noticing now when I've seen a couple of commercials since then that there's a scene of the SWAT team going to his house. So I wouldn't have put that together, but that's after they leave. There's a scene of him grabbing the knife off the table when he's about to kill his wife. Okay, I wouldn't have necessarily put that together. Now I know that scene's away from the concert. I wouldn't have necessarily thought because they're quick shots that it wasn't necessarily the concert. But once they leave, I'm like, the twist is going to happen. Oh, it's actually his daughter. Oh, it's actually his wife. Because there's a little bit there. I thought it was going to be his wife.
Too.
Because she looked at that security footage and said it's just like, oh, I found this of yours. I thought, oh, the wife's in on it. Oh, there's something else to this. And then nothing really happened. And look, it's my fault. I will admit it's my fault for assuming that something is going to happen in this movie because it's happened a lot of times in his movies before. And so I projected this on the movie unfairly. But at the end of the day, I was a little disappointed with it.
I do wonder if maybe they had done that, if people would have been like, that was too gimmicky. Like, maybe playing it more, maybe he's trying to get away from some of that. But I thought Tyler did a really good on his everyone needs to watch Tyler's out of theater reactions because they are the best and they're so good. Yes, on this channel, they're so good. But I thought that when Tyler mentioned that the character was like Anthony Perkins, like once you said that, the mannerisms are spot on. Like if they ever want to redo Psycho again, like I think Josh Hartnett would actually be a really good Norman Bates. But Tyler, what did you think of the portrayal, and like how would you rate this in the horror movies of this year?
In the horror movies of this year, it's standout for sure.
I agree.
Definitely top 5, easy top 5.
Do we really consider it a horror movie?
I mean, he's slicing up people.
We never actually see him slice up anybody. The only violence, because I was kind of surprised, I feel like you could have potentially shown something. The only violence was when the explosion happened in the concession stand. You see some burns on the girl's face.
I mean, if this is not...
You don't even really see a whole lot of that.
You really don't see a lot of that.
I mean, if this is not considered a horror movie, would Long Legs be considered a horror movie?
Yes.
Because I feel like they're...
Laurel trying to make that case. I was like, this isn't really a horror movie. We can see Long Legs in. It's like, I don't know about that.
I mean, we'll just say out of the suspense, thriller, horror genre, I think it's a
serial
standout.
killer movies.
This is a standout for me as well.
One other complaint I had, I thought the movie was done well. Like it was shot fine. The acting from Josh Hartnett especially was fine.
The M Night cameo.
M Night cameo I thought kind of fit in, especially since it is his daughter. So
I love that.
I wish he would have just been her father instead of her uncle and all of that. But one thing I didn't like about this, that when you see movies like this where you know, oh, something has to happen for it to play out a certain way. I didn't like how every single thing that could go right until the very, very end for Josh Hartnett always went right.
Yes.
Every guess he made was correct. Every door he walked through just happened to be the right one. Every single thing he did. Like the worst was when he went up on the roof. He stole like the apron after the explosion in the concession stand. He goes on the roof, and then there's like the SWAT team's up there. What are you doing? Oh, there's an explosion. He's trying to act all confused. And it's like, well, what's the code word? Hamilton. Okay, he's going to get out of it. Well, where's the card? That was where I was expecting, okay, finally we're going to have a moment where he doesn't hit.
Because he left it in the jacket pocket.
The wallet just happens to be sitting right there, and he happens to pull out of all the cards a card that just has the arena logo on it. That's all it is. I was like, he just happens to pull out a card that just happens to be the right card, too. I was like, there's so many ways that could have gone wrong, and every single time it just happens to go right until the very end when finally it catches up. Oh, by the way, he's very quick to sneak out of that limo when there's a million people around. He's also very quick to sneak out of the house when there's a million SWAT members around.
Very quick to change when he's in the limo.
Very quick to change from a full SWAT uniform to just like putting on a hoodie and walking away from everybody. Everything just went a little too right for him. And it makes for continuing the story. I get it. But it's just a little too right. And this is John that doesn't like horror thriller movies as much. That's like, oh, that's stupid. That would never happen. I get that. But there's a little too much that was right for me to really and truly, oh, there's conflict now. What's going to happen? I know he's going to get through that door perfectly fine. Sure enough, he gets through the door perfectly fine.
And I think that is part of it. But also, I guess if you're going to look through those, the lens is like serial killers. Like if he was really smart, like those things, I guess, would tend to go right. Because, I mean, if you look at people like Bundy, I mean, you wonder, how did this man get through all of these, they was going through dorms and like charming all these women. You'd have to think, well, at some point he's going to get stopped and they're going to ask for an ID. Yet he had all of those too. That's how he kept getting into all those different dormitories.
And the other thing, he brings up that his daughter had cancer, which I feel like it's clearly a lie, because Laura's like, did she really have cancer? Because you know what? They never bring it up. Like, oh, you're such a brave little girl.
I guess he was lying, right?
I assume he's lying about it. And he brings it up constantly, almost even in front of her sometimes, and she's just totally oblivious. Maybe she's so starstruck.
I think that's what
I think there was one line where he was like, oh, she's really embarrassed by it. She doesn't want to talk about it. She's shy.
He does do a good way in his movies of like why you don't ask it, because even I was like, why is this concert like light outside? And you're like, oh, he said it was an afternoon concert. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So they've got it covered.
He did cover, like, it's like how a comedian will do like an early show and a late show. It's like, because she makes a comment like, I'm so glad she added an afternoon show when the first one sold out, because that's why, because he kept saying I can only get off work at this time to go and do it or whatever. So that at least kind of made sense. But there's just a little. And of the getting everything right, like the whole point is to set a trap, and he just walks right out the door by lying about the leukemia that never gets brought up in front of the actual girl that could have gotten him caught. There's just way too many ways for him to ultimately get caught. And the whole storyline, I almost feel like the whole storyline with the friend and running into the friend's mom constantly out in the concourse, which they were way up in the upper deck and they're on the floor, but somehow they kept running into each other.
They would not be on the same
no
floor
sense.
as the merch stand and the concession stand and everything.
Would be running around that much during a concert, leaving the other children.
There's a lot of people just running around during that concert.
It's constantly packed out there, and I'm like, if this was like a Taylor Swift concert or anything, there's no way the concourse would be that crowded constantly.
I wonder if you would think of it this way: are those people already there early for the next showing? Is that how they would get around that? Although I will say,
but then the question is, why all the extra security if you're letting in 2 shows worth of people?
Yeah.
Why even bother with the security team? You're gonna fail.
How did no one recognize him? Because he saw several of these people. Because he went in and got the coffee. He went on the roof, and they saw the security. When they were backstage, I thought at that point someone was gonna notice him. Hey, there's that guy that got coffee, or oh, hey, there's that guy who worked here. Why is he that would set off a trigger. I
randomly brought this up. I don't know why we were talking about donuts earlier. It would have been so much funnier when he goes to get the coffee where all the cops are standing around before they disperse or whatever, and he's pretending oh, I work here. I'm getting the sugar for the coffee. Which once again, the sugar just happens to be in the first cabinet he opens after he pulls that out, so he doesn't get caught.
That one didn't bother me. Every time I've been looking for sugar in a hospital or some area like that, it's always
another thing on top of all the others. But then he pulls out the donuts to the cop. He's like, "You want any donuts?" The cop's like, "No, that's stupid. Why would I want a donut?" And walks off. It's that should have been his way to escape. Is oh, haha, cops and donuts, right? And then he walks out, and that could have been a perfect comedic, timing thing that they didn't necessarily do in there. But anyway, once they left the theater, or once they left the concert, here's the other thing. When the singer comes out and the stairs rise up out of the floor beside them, and he's turning to his daughter, "Hey, you ever wanted to crawl down there and see what's on?" That, to me, that was so goofy.
That
was so goofy.
The girl has to be, what the hell is wrong with you?
But she did do that. She thought it was weird.
But it's just if you're a smart serial killer, you're going to grab your daughter and go up under stage right there in this concert that she's been wanting to go to for her entire life.
You're panicking, man.
There were so many times I thought, okay, he's finally going to leave his daughter just to get out of this. And then, hey, meet me at the car or something the text her, meet me at the car. And he never did that. I was waiting for him to do something.
The sad thing is, he actually seemed to care about the kids. Which is
he did. He very much said, "I got to keep my professional and personal life separate." So I very much love my family, but also very much want to murder everybody too.
So I think
is loving, I guess.
It was. I do think it's on the higher end of his films. Like I said, we've talked about it before. I think the lows are bad, but I think when he does hit it, I think he has something here, which I think it will make money, and I think I'll be interested to see what his next movie is.
I was curious where he would go from, I guess, the Unbreakable Split Glass trilogy. So then Old was the next thing, which is very return to form, a massive twist at the end and everything. Then Knock at the Cabin being adapted. I understand maybe, okay, the twist is there. He's trying to stay true to the source material, whatever. And I don't know if he did or not. But then this, I was kind of weird. Okay, where's he going to go from there? He changed the ending
of Knock at the Cabin, but yes.
Where's he going to go from here? And this is very different, but also still very on brand for him. So I'm also curious moving forward what he'll do.
So I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of theories that this takes place in the Glass Unbreakable Split universe.
A lot of people think his movies take place in the same universe, and he hasn't exactly denied those, because a lot of people think that the character he plays in Old is the same one from The Village, the person who's a park, because this person was working at a resort and then going back to that building where where they're keeping tabs on everything, which is not.
I could see all of these take place in the same universe except The Happening, because I feel like that was a whole global event that happened in The Happening, so you couldn't necessarily have that happen.
That movie doesn't exist to him, I don't think.
And then
neither does After Earth.
Yeah. Obviously, Last Airbender is adapted, so that doesn't necessarily count. Yeah. And maybe Knock at the Cabin too. After Earth, even if it was, it's such a different time. It wouldn't, because this whole thing, they're actually on Earth or whatever. But I could see the rest of them potentially all taking place in the same universe.
He is from Pennsylvania, and he
Signs, I don't know, because Signs, I feel like the aliens were very public on the news and stuff, videos being shared and all. So
but hey,
I don't know if that would have been in the same universe.
Look at Marvel. All those people have PTSD from everything that's going on. Maybe we just have a whole world where people are just full of things they've seen, aliens and
just waiting for his next movie. It's remember those aliens that came 20 years ago?
Remember that wind came and everyone acted crazy for a day?
That's the one. I could see almost all of them. Sure, you could probably make a case because they're all very different stories, except for there's Bryce Dallas Howard's in The Village, and then also she happens to be the Narf in the water and Lady in the Water. But you could potentially make a case for the same universe.
And Joaquin
Phoenix. But I am curious to see now where he goes, because I feel like this was different for him, but also very similar for him.
I think he needs to A24. I think he needs to do one.
He has this was done through Warner Brothers. The only Warner Brothers movie that was done before was Lady in the Water. So I guess they gave him a second chance after Lady in the Water. I don't know if it's a long-term deal with Warner Brothers.
I think it is.
Or if it's something he could shop around. Maybe his daughter, if the Watchers, I don't know, how much money it made, but if it's something, hey, we'll give her another chance, or it's still you producing it, he very much is influential into it. Maybe A24 could come calling on something like that. Good. You never know.
We just see him back at the Oscar podium.
Them and Blinding Edge or whatever his production studio is called. But final score on Trap, Tyler?
I'd go 3.5 to 4 out of 5. It's a really solid movie. I think the first half is better. I really liked the cameos in this movie. We've already talked about M Night popping up. Kid Cudi's part was hilarious.
I loved him. And he had an end credit scene, so stick around for the end.
The mid credit scene. Definitely watch that. And also, there's another cameo. Do you guys remember the first artist that Lady Raven brings up?
The one that came up on the stairs?
Yeah. So that's the rapper Russ. And he used to be just the online butt of every joke because he's just a very fake intellectual type person. So I was laughing hysterically when he popped up.
Can't say I've ever heard of Russ. But sure. Laurel, final score?
I would say 3.5 to 4 out of 5. I think I thought it was good. I thought Josh Hartnett was really, really. I'm interested to see what he does next because since he's had kind of a resurgence, and I thought his daughter actually did really good too. I mean, I know we're talking about nepo babies all the time, but there are talented ones. There's a lot of talented ones. I think she's one of them, and I would definitely highly recommend to go see it.
So, is this to push her music career,
or she wants to be an actress?
Oh, she wants to be an actress.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know which one she wants to be.
I mean,
or both.
I do very much think.
Is it her singing?
Here's what Wikipedia says.
It is her. I think.
It is her singing. I mean, she's done music before. I think she did a song for Old, and I think she did some music for that Servant show on Apple TV Plus. Here's what Wikipedia says. Salika stars as singer Lady Raven, whose concert the characters attend. As her father was writing the script, she composed 14 songs for the film, designed to match the action on screen. She previously collaborated with the father for a single for Old and an EP for Servant. He was inspired to incorporate musical elements by Purple Rain and visiting Salika on tour. That's one of her albums. Salika also noted Bollywood cinema, in which music often plays a key role in the storytelling. As an influence, she described Trap as a Shyamalan American version of a Bollywood movie that is grounded and the songs make sense, not necessarily a musical, but completely music-centric, which I would agree with.
Yeah.
Doesn't specifically say, I just did it for my daughter. I do think that is very much part of it, though.
And who wouldn't?
I think we all would agree with that.
I don't have any.
And there's not anything wrong with that. It's just, it obviously is what it is, especially in the same year that his other daughter directs a movie that he very much is the power behind as well. But I thought she was fine in the movie. I mean, I could see her popping up in other stuff. I don't know that she would do a lot of his other stuff necessarily. I mean, maybe do some music for it, but I don't know that she'll become like a mainstay actress in his movies.
I think this is the one and done for her.
But this could potentially get her in some other stuff as well. I'm going to give it a solid 3.5. I can't go up to 4, but I'm going to keep it a solid 3.5. It probably is top 5 M Night Shyamalan for me. The highest, if M Night Shyamalan's best with like Sixth Sense and all that is a 10, and if his worst with like Lady in the Water and all that's a 0, the vast majority of his movies for me fall between like a 4 and a 7. Like his lows are 4 or 5 for me. His highs are like a 6 or a 7 for me, and that's not much variety, but. Overall, it's just not my thing. I'm not really into horror, and I know that's a lot of what he does.
You should have seen Long Legs.
We didn't
get to do a Long Legs spoiler review. I'm upset about that, but
that's fine.
I'll let y'all talk.
Almost
about
birthday
that.
Girl.
Okay. Anyway, this has been our review of Trap, not Long Legs, from M Night Shyamalan. What will he do next? Every 2 or 3 years, he does a movie, so. I guess we'll wait a couple years and see what he does or what his daughter does, because that basically was an M Night Shyamalan movie as well. Make sure to visit our title sponsor, mybookie.ag. Promo code next round. You always see it in the corner down there. Promo code next round. Bet the sportsbook, play in the casino, play in the live casino, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Use that promo code to get a first deposit bonus on us. What did you think of Trap? Let us know in the comments below. And enjoy the rest of the movies this summer.